Okay, I'll just share my screen once to confirm that it's working properly. Okay, is the presentation visible?
Yes, yes. And can you change the slide once? Yeah, it's fine. Perfect. Just run through all the slides once so that all the images get loaded so that during the presentation it does not buffer.
Okay, yeah. So I'll just
Is the tech end all fine? Can we start in 5 minutes?
yeah, we can.
Tasma, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Great. So all good from your end? The live streaming and all?
Yes.
Perfect.
Can we have a reminder message? It's 5.
Also, if the live link is like you can share the YouTube watch link after like it's full of participants here. So I'm assuming how many are there right now currently?
Number
So if
20.
it reaches 150, then we can share the YouTube link. And Tasmi, you can start recording maybe in another 5 minutes from now when we start the session.
Okay.
Is anyone sending the reminder?
Oh, I guess Dr.
Ma'am, should I send the reminder on the group?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
please.
okay. Uh, Ayush, the
Yes,
audio
ma'am.
is not there. I'm saying there's
Okay.
no audio.
I'll just check.
Or else you want me to share?
Yeah, if you can, that'll be great.
Okay,
Just-
so guys, meanwhile others are joining us, let's have a bit background. Like since yesterday, you guys are seeing it is mice and mice everywhere. But I'm very sure that very few of you might be knowing what's the full form of mice or what are we actually doing. So just to give a short brief about what is mice, which stands for Medical Innovation, Creativity and Entrepreneurship Lab. I will just share a small video which shows our journey. That is a 3 year of journey where you will understand or you get a gist of what we actually do. So here's let me just share my screen. Okay.
Judges, panelists, and the participants. Grand Government Medical College and Sir JJ Hospital is unique because we are proud to have the MICE lab.
The problem statement that was given to us was here, rehabilitation of amputees. And while reading more about
problem statement is automation of exam staining, and our brief that we are working on, we are trying to bring about a cost-effective solution where we can have a quicker diagnosis and we can use the workload. I'm working on a design and innovation curriculum for medication.
So it is a compact system which uses a combination of shredding with sterilization to get rid of all the infections which are in the sanitary pads.
I would like to thank my class for providing us medicos with such wonderful opportunities to participate in medical innovation via collaboration with people from other fraternities like engineering and design.
So the best part about this program was the clinical immersion. We were given access to the ORs, to the ICUs, MICUs and the emergency ward. Basically the access to JJ Hospital and its doctors was amazing. We were able to observe these procedures firsthand to understand the various pain points the doctors face.
I chose MySlab for the fellowship program as they provide this great opportunity to work with students from diverse fields and along with receiving guidance from amazing industry professionals from different fields as well.
My 4 months in MICE was a hell of an experience. It was something that I will always remember.
And that was mainly because the clinical emergent phase that we had over here. That was going into the hospital, seeing surgeries, having ICU postings, etc. That was one.
Okay, so I guess by the time we have participants here, so the rest of the video I can just share it on the group so that you can watch it later. So without delaying much, let's begin with our talk show, which we all are eagerly waiting since yesterday. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Zinal Punamya, and currently I am the program manager for MICE Labs. So MICE, which stands for Medical Innovation, Creativity and Entrepreneurship Lab, where we encourage frugal innovation, and students from medical field, engineering field, designing field come together, they brainstorm and eventually come to some I would say human-centric solution which can solve a healthcare problem. I'm very much happy to announce that we could arrange this talk show with collaboration of two student bodies. One is GGMC RISE, that is Grand Government Medical College, RISE, which stands for Research, Innovation, Study and Explore. So firstly, I'll talk what is RISE and what do they do. So this body is started by the student of Grand Government Medical College and Sir JJ Group of Hospital, which is meant to encourage medical students to do research, innovate, and help them managing studies alongside. They have conducted various events like CPR, Top Stock, quizzes, study sessions, PG entrance guidance seminars, writing research papers, presentation, and so on. RISE also strives towards the overall development of a medical student and not just limiting them to studies and books. It believes that this curious attitude will create definitely finer doctors rather than what we have currently. Next, I would like to definitely introduce you all to SAMSA. So SAMSA, the second student organization which have collaborated with us for this talk show. So talking about SAMSA, SAMSA stands for South Asian Medical Student Association. It's an international student organization with currently 2,000 plus lifetime members. With its motto, serve with conscience, knowledge with purpose. The organization aims to promote scientific temper, research aptitude, personality and leadership skill development, and the organization arranges health camps, international exchange programs, academic seminars, and workshops for medical students. Through its activities, the organization strives to bring about a change in healthcare delivery and medical education system of India. So I think we should really give applause virtually to both the organizing student bodies, which are actually working so hard to match the current scenario. So yeah, kudos to you guys. Okay, now the wait is over, and let me introduce to the speaker of the day, that is Dr. Aayush Bhadani. So I would say Ayush, Dr. Ayush have completed his MBBS from RG Kar Medical College and Hospital. Dr. Ayush is a man of multiple talents. He is an exquisite doctor who always tries to explore the possibilities of medical science. An ardent technology enthusiast, he is always ready to hack into problems to get their simplest solution, having participated in Medha and Medic and various other hackathons. He has learned the technical knows and hows of how medical innovation from the stalwart of the field. He has also mentored students at MICE Labs and has a special interest in AI and tech-driven medical innovation. Currently, he is the General Secretary of SAMSA. He wishes to pursue surgery as his passion and also keep working in innovation domain to have an impact on wider population. So Dr. Ayush, welcome to this talk show. We all are really very excited to know your journey, to understand how exactly. So, majority of the students here and also the doctors who are present here, they really want to know like how from a student life into books and into academics, how you got diverted towards medical innovation, and how is your journey. So I would love to hand over the session to Dr. Aayush.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you so much for the great introduction, and thank you so much to the both students body, South Asian Medical Students Association, and RISE. So I'll not waste much time, ma'am. I'll start with my session. I would request you to please start the screen share.
Yeah, sure.
Meanwhile, can I have a thumbs up from everyone so that I know I'm visible and audible?
Let me just mute myself to avoid.
Great. Yeah, so hi everyone. I'm Dr. Aayush Bhadani, and I have a very interesting journey which I want to share with everyone. Basically, it's a journey of an inquisitive medico who tried to figure out ways to get rid of the boredom in life and maybe to get something more out of this whole 5.5 years of MBBS journey. So this first slide depicts me as a person, and this is the prototype I made in AIMS Delhi in one of the innovation design course. And this left hand side image depicts me as a doctor who is all smiling and cheerful with a stethoscope. And the second half of mine is the nerd who is sort of driven into technology. I couldn't, sort of explain it better than maybe some mathematics equations. Mathematics being one of my most favorite subjects. Ma'am, next slide, please. So, like all of you, even I in my 11th and 12th was very confused being a good student throughout my academic and school career. I was a little confused whether I should go with medical or I should go with engineering. So it's basically the famous poem by Robert Frost, Two Roads Diverged in the Woods. In this case, one was engineering and the other was medical. A lot of confusion, haven't taken PCMB, and having doing exceedingly well in both the subjects. It was very difficult for me and I had qualified both the exams. But somehow I finally figured out that yes, medical is my go-to domain. Maybe because of the impact it can create, maybe because of the impact all of you doctors would be creating tomorrow in the lives of many others. Next slide. So, so this is a brief description of a normal day in my first year of MBBS life. I am sure if not the rightmost picture, most of you will relate to the leftmost picture, the scene of the anatomy and dissection halls, standing on top of another just to get a small view of the whole cadaver and learning as much anatomy as possible with these many piles of book, starting from biology, neurosciences, pathology, and whatnot. Someone saying the rightmost is what the person can relate to. And yes, even I could relate to that. So we all know that ragging is a part and parcel of the first year of MBBS. And somehow I started doubting my decision because I was not getting time for myself and was extremely annoyed at what was happening. But still, nonetheless, I started searching for an escape. Small me, everyone said that medicine is fun. And so this was the whole day. It would pass with bones. My whole map with frustration, sleep, study, again ragging, worry, sleep. It was all sort of a khichdi in my head. What am I doing with my life? Still, as they say, where there's a will, there's a way. And in the end of my first year, I came across this poster on Facebook. And I thought that is this actually an escape, or the two roads which had diverged, they have met? Why do I say so is because the poster said this will witness doctors, engineers, entrepreneurs, and end users, as well as foreign medical students to collaborate. And I was like, collaboration with engineers as a doctor, is it at all possible? I had no idea about what a hackathon is. I had no idea about what life beyond MBBS or beyond anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry is. But still, just my senior suggesting me that, look, dude, aisa kuch hone wala hai, why don't you come and join us? So I just go for it. And it was a 2 days hackathon. I didn't sleep the entire night. I was accompanied by 2 CS engineers and 2 other medicos. We had a mentor and we started innovating. Next slide. So what we innovated was something known as NAT folks. It is basically nurse assisted technology. Any one of you who have visited the clinics, the wards, you know you have a drip counter, and it's basically ki, is the drip counter getting over? You can stop it. And there is no calibration, like how many mLs of blood, how many mLs of that particular fluid or that medicine should go in how much time, except if it's in ICU. Plus, it is often seen in the government setup that X and Y person was supposed to take a medicine at X and Y time, and the nurses forget it, or the patient relatives forget that. So what we did was, we used the infrared technology. Believe me, I had no idea about all this. My engineering friends helped me out. I'm just trying to explain the current scenario in one of the slides. And actually, we ended up making a prototype. We won the first prize. We got 20,000 rupees as the prize money. And I was elated because our prototype solved 3 main problems. Using an infrared technology, it could tell how many drops are falling per second, how many mLs of drop are falling. We had connected it to a central system. So there was a small board just above the drip counter in which there would be alarms that X and Y medicine needs to be taken at X and Y time. And that whole thing was centralized to a central workstation. So the nurse or the doctor sitting there also knows that X and Y person needs to take this. So this sort of solved a pre-existing problem. And I was extremely elated because this was the first time I jumped out of the books of anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry. And I was actually exploring what this whole medical fraternity had to offer us. And in this time, with the help of tech and AI. Next slide. But as you say, you cannot sort of go up the ladder without taking help from someone who is already sitting up the ladder. So I started making contacts. I started attending conferences. One of the pictures is of one of the conferences in Wardha, and the leftmost picture is of National Institute of Biogenomics. It is near Calcutta. And basically what I did was, in my whole 2nd and 3rd year, I started to talk to people, interact to people, tell them that I am interested in all this, and just being a medico is not the entire thing for me. So what happens is, when you start talking to people, you make contacts, and next time an conference is going to happen in, say, Kolkata or Bombay or Delhi, you get direct links of that conference, and you're the first one to know it. And if not the first one, you at least know that X and Y thing is going to happen somewhere. So that basically triggers that inquisitive mind. Yaar, main bhi ja sakta hu. That mundane life of 2nd, 3rd year, where you're studying pathology, pharmacology, community medicine, one of the most, that is, and those honeymoon periods which we say, that is when you can actually utilize to meet other medicos across the country. Because it might happen that in your city, in your college, you're not having enough opportunity and exposure. But somewhere in Mumbai or Delhi, there are actually setups like, say, MICE Labs or BETEC or the School of International Biodesign at AIIMS New Delhi, which have an ecosystem ready, who are actually helping the medicos so that you can go there, innovate, and maybe come up with a prototype. Next slide, please. And I'll be very honest, this was the turning point in my life, finding the magic lamp, as I rightly say. So one fine day, I was interacting with one of the non-medico friends whom I had met at one of the conferences, who was actually a designer. And he had shared one of his projects, which got 50 lakh rupees of sort of funds from the government. And he had made that project in one of the Medha camps. So Medha is organized by a wing of IIT Bombay, the BETEC Center. And what they do is, they hold a 3-day hackathon where you have to pre-register. You just need to show some interest. You need to write sort of a recommendation or maybe an interest letter that, ma'am, I'm interested, or sir, I'm interested in this. And I'm sure they will definitely invite you. So you go there, work 3 days with engineers, doctors, designers, entrepreneurs, and anyone and everyone who is right now in this field and the best of the entire country. And you start exploring beyond your capabilities. So this next slide of Medha July 2019 is when I went to Nagpur. So this is my first device. This is the second device which I innovated. Now, I want all of you to tell me, have you read in Genome about the chemistry or the whole physiology of micturition? And any of the post-interns or someone who attempted the NEET PG exam this year, we all saw that question on the micturition reflex, the pressure, the Bernoulli's theorem, and all of that, telling us how the bladder contracts, how the volume increases in the bladder, how the pressure changes with the volume, how the detrusors contracts, how is that myogenic impulses relate to the brain, and yes, the Laplace theorem, and how we start getting an urge to micturate. So now imagine a small boy, say 8 years old, and he's micturating, or he's basically bedwetting every night. I'm sure this must be an extreme turmoil situation, both for the child as well as for the mother and the father. So this was the problem statement, that could we make a device which actually told the parents that the child is actually going to bedwet. So what we did was we made use of Maya sensors. This is just a prototype, so we didn't have that accurate Maya sensors, but I have a video in which I had attached the Maya sensors to my deltoid, and the moment, not the deltoid, the biceps, and the moment I flexed the elbow, the Maya sensors reacted to it and there was a beep. In the same way, if we could make a Maya sensor which could sense the minute changes in the muscle tone of the involuntary detrusor muscles, we could tell that, okay, at this pressure point, the person is going to get the first urge to micturate. So if at that pressure point, we can actually ring an alarm, which might be connected to the mother's or the father's phone, that look, your child is going to bedwet. And the mother can come and wake up the child and ask the child to go and void. This serves another problem. Just in case, if, so one question is that, do you have the problem statement already made before going for Medha? Yes. In Medha, they come up with the problem statements themselves because they don't have that much time that you can spend on finding the problem statement, and we'll come to them. So this also solved the second problem. Suppose a child has not bedwetted for that night. Next day, a beep or an alarm, or say maybe a message goes to the father that your child did not bedwet yesterday, please get a chocolate. So this basically works on the psychological conditioning, the bedwet alarms, the bell, and this whole Pavlov experiment. So we try to inculcate psychiatry, psychology, physiology, and core medicine, and made this device. And we won, right? So we have already patented for this, and we are still working on the prototype. Ma'am, next, please. But, as you say that, ma'am, next slide. As you say that you cannot just keep on going into all this, and you need to also study for your exams. Ma'am, could you please change the slide?
Just a second. I actually did, but could be some.
It's the same slide, ma'am. Maybe you can, products. Okay. Yes, this one, ma'am. Yeah. So I was already in my final year, and they said that you're already in your final year. Either you study now or you'll ultimately fail. So that is what I did in my entire final year. I kept on studying, huge piles of book. The third year books just 3, and the final year books this much. So we all know that pain in the final year when you have to study, go for practicals and everything. So in the final year, I was a little scared that was it an end? But no. Again, when there's a way, when there's a will, there's a way. Just between my theory and the practical exams of my mock exams for the finals, I went to AIIMS Delhi. And what I did was, my medicine practical was supposed to be taken, say, next day. I requested the medicine department to shift my practicals on the day next to surgery. Basically, committing to the fact that I won't be getting even a day off to study for the medicine practicals. But just the interest for innovation was so much that I took the night flight just after my surgery theory paper at 2 a.m. in the night. I went there in the morning, attended the full session, took a flight back around 10 p.m. in the night, came back and gave my practicals the next day. Sir, who is in the middle, is one of the fellows of Stanford International School of Biodesign. He's a pediatrician by profession. And he texted me the next day, Ayush, did you pass your exam? I did manage to pass. I didn't get the best marks, but believe me, I was more than happy because I got to learn design thinking and workshop from AIMS, New Delhi in the School of International Biodesign. Ma'am, next slide, please. And you won't believe, over there I made contacts, and with the backend I had from Medha, I went to Medic. Medic is a conference sort of thing which is held almost every year. I think due to COVID, it was not being held for the last 2 years. And this is a 5-day immersion camp in IIT Bombay. I was with 2 engineers, 1 designer, 1 industrialist. I was sort of mentored by Dr. Malay, who is a renowned cardiologist in Mumbai. I had the mentorship of Dr. Rupesh Khayer. I had the mentorship of Professor B. Ravi. Like names which you know. I had the mentorship of sort of people who had made unicorns in their startups, right? So that was when I realized that this huge is the domain. If I don't tell you all this right now, you'll not be knowing about this, but all of this is happening somewhere in India. And here we made a device which is sort of a gloves which senses the changes in the skin, be it skin tone, skin elasticity, skin temperature, which are secondary or which are the pre-pathogenesis symptoms of a peripheral vascular disease. So our problem statement was basically to find some device which can help in early diagnosis of a peripheral vascular disease. And we all know the type of burden or the moribund patients can get after a PVD. We might have to amputate the legs. So imagine if we can sort of predict that X and Y person is going to have a PVD, what changes can we make? Currently, we use the ankle brachial index. We basically check the BP difference between the legs and the arm. And then we basically plot a graph and we compare that, is it changing or is it staying still? But that happens once the disease is already set in. What if we can actually try to measure the predictors of the disease? You know, like skin temperature changes, maybe some thickening, some resistance. And believe me, you name it and the engineers have a product for it. Myosensors, infrared, X, Y, Z, I have no idea, but they have it. They'll tell you all about AI, C++, Java, and various other platforms, softwares. And we basically, how we did is we integrated it and we had an AI system. And we suppose today, my gloves touch your legs and your legs give a reading of temperature, of elasticity, of maybe the pressure. And we compare it with the same data maybe a week later. And the computer gives the computation based on preset data from researches and tells you that 50% risk of developing into PVD. That is when you can go for the higher end investigations like ultrasound Doppler or CT angio or MR angio, which are basically costly and not that useful in the early days. So this is where medical innovation comes into play. You make a device which brings a revolutionary change. Ma'am, next slide, please. So Betic is a world of innovation. He is Dr. Professor B. Ravi. He is a guide, a mentor. You can find his book, The Essence of Medical Device Innovation, on Amazon. They have made this IU Link, which is a sort of portable stethoscope. And you don't even have to use the earpiece. You can just put the bell on someone's chest and the whole mobile system analyzes the rhythm, the heart sounds, the murmurs, and it gives you a diagnosis. This is the advancement of technology currently. They have made a diabetic foot screener. They can just put your leg and they sense the same changes in the skin, the turgor, the pressure, and tell you. Next, they have made a hybrid plaster splint. They have heart valve templates, which Dr. Malay is already using to those technological heart valves, not from the bovine skin grafts or something. and even they have 3D printed bones, and you won't believe these bones are better than the original ones. I'm sure none of us have seen the sphenoid, right? Because sphenoid, they say that sphenoid breaks because it's so light and it's so fragile. But they have actually made a sphenoid model by 3D printing by using such kind of material which is actually resistant to pressure. And they are using all these models to train the ENT surgeons, to train the maxillofacial surgeons, to basically do a better surgery. Next slide, please. And so this is a small story which I want to tell everyone. I hope this interests you. So today, the iPad which I'm using currently is something which I got as a prize. How does this happen? Just after my theory exams of my final MB and before the practical exams, when I had 7 days in hand, I was invited to one of the conferences, which is a World AI in Healthcare Summit in Kolkata. I was least interested to go because I had just done with my final MB theory, and you all know how daunting this whole theory exam phase of final year is. All I wanted was a decent lunch. So I went there, and over there I started interacting with people. And this is what comes from within, interacting with people. I started talking to them, started sharing ideas, and the person who had organized it asked me that, Aayush, why don't you just join in for the rest of the session? So I went in there, and honestly, all I did was I chit-chatted with my friends and maybe listening to a little bit about all the speakers who were coming. But I could see other people sitting with their notes and making notes of the entire day session, because supposedly there was a quiz which was going to happen in the end of the day, which would had questions on medical device innovations and AI in healthcare. So in the quiz, there were 10 questions with MCQs, and all I knew was somewhere I had read them or somewhere I had heard them in the 3 Medic, Medha, or the School of International Biodesign thing, which I had attended in Delhi. So all I did was eeny, meeny, miny, mo, with some intuitions and some inquisitiveness, and I marked all the 10 answers. And later, I started asking the people that, look, if you get an iPad, you're going to sell it to me for 10,000 bucks or 20,000 bucks or whatever. In the end, when the results were announced, the judge announced 3 names and then asked them to sit, saying that, no, sorry, there's someone who has got more than you. And then he took my name, and all of my friends were abusing me at that point of time, saying that, yaar, tu to itne der se aaya, how did you win the prize? And this is when I thought, it was so unintentional and unknowingly what happened, that whatever things I had learned in the last 3 hackathons, healthcare summits, or conferences, it all came down to this beautiful thing, which was an iPad, which I was wanting to buy from my hard-earned money and internship. So this is what I'm trying to say. You don't have to struggle to make yourself, available to others. It's just that if you are there in the game, if you are in this innovation field, if you make contacts, avenues and doors open on them themselves. Okay. Next slide, please. So then I went into my internship, March 21 to March 22. There was a COVID. Next slide. So next there was COVID, January, March, and it was all lockdown. And it was basically internship, COVID internship. And Calcutta internship is very heavy. But even here we didn't stop. Our organization, SAMHSA, they came up with Decoding COVID Hackathon. So basically in this, we had an online hackathon of 3 days, where we had around 100 participants from all across the globe. And I mean it. Students from MIT, Stanford, and others. We had mentors, we had judges, they pitched in, they made solutions, and it was all on Slack, and it was so beautifully managed. And I have some other people in my organization who have also started in this medical innovation career. And they also joined for all this and just went ahead with it. But then my internship ended and I started to basically study. Maybe you can see the same backdrop. So I started studying like, abhi to padna padega hai, because honestly, if you want to get a PG rank, you have to give your 100%. And it was this 1 year, I would say, where I did not do anything except study. I didn't do any conferences. I didn't go for any health talks, for summits, for maybe talks, for health camps. All I did was just study. And I managed to get a decent rank. And it was a good upliftment from the previous ranks. Next slide, please. But the question is, that this PG rank and now me going to pursue a surgery residency, which I want, is this a dead end? Is this an end to my innovation career? Or is this a new beginning? Next slide. So this is how it goes. I had been to Bombay last week, all the 4 colleges, JJ, KEM, Nair, Topiwala. I've been to Betic, I've been to Mice Labs, and Anu Malik is calling me to Bombay just because my heart right now says that, dude, if you go to Bombay, you get to operate on the Da Vinci robot as a surgeon. At the same time, follow your interests and be a medical device innovation guy, or maybe come up with some device of my own, maybe start a startup, maybe get some grants, or maybe explore my other side of techie. So if you ask me right now that, okay, Dr. Aayush, you did all this, but how are we supposed to go with all this? So we have 2 or 3 good centers in the world and in India. We have the Masters in Medical Science and Technology, MMST scholarship, which is in IIT Kharagpur. This would actually be an entire shift from MBBS to medical innovations. And believe me, even here, you get job offers of up to 1 crore rupees by various MNCs. So if you are looking कि boss अब हो गया MBBS, अब मुझसे नहीं झेला जा रहा, then bro, this is for you. Go for it. It's an amazing opportunity. You can actually use your medical knowledge and innovate, join some company, join some healthcare startup, and just go for it. You also have the Stanford Biodesign Institute, where I had applied and I got rejected. Why? Because I don't have a WorkX. So they require WorkX. So maybe tomorrow when I am into my surgery, maybe 3 or 5 years down the line, when I have some core experience of the healthcare, then maybe I can apply and I can get selected. You have School of International Biodesign at AIIMS New Delhi. You have Innovate of Europe. And next, we have many incubation centers. We have Mice Labs. We have Betic. Betic is IIT Bombay. Mice Labs is JJ Hospitals. We have the BIRAC Innovation Grant, which is 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 1 crore. And my friends have got it. Even you can get it. Basically, I'll tell you very honestly, the government is keen to have interested medicos, interested people who can actually go there and innovate and come up with something. Government is like, boss, ले लो पैसा, मेरे को नहीं चाहिए, तुम पैसा रखो, बस कुछ करके मुझे दो. So that India can be established at the healthcare apex. Because, boss, the only thing which governs the entire world right now is healthcare. And you know that very true how it happened during the whole COVID thing. Healthcare is the one thing which is like on the top. So right now I'll pause for a second. I want all of you to have your thinker's cap on, shoot your questions. If you want, you can unmute themselves. I think that would be possible, and maybe ask your questions. And then we can start with the second set of few slides in which I would tell you about how you can go ahead and how you can start innovations from right this point.
I would just request whoever has a question or something, just raise your hand so that we can, there's no mess, 2-3 people talking at the same time. And you can definitely post your questions in the chat box as well.
And you can even leave your questions on the
one.
YouTube if you are live, if you're watching me live right now. So I think I have one question. The first step to approach. Dr. Shreya is asking, what is the first step to approach? I have your question on the first step to approach. I have the answer to this in the next upcoming slides. So don't worry, I'll answer your questions. If one is living very far from IIT Bombay, dude, I am living in Ranchi. I did my MBBS from Kolkata. It is 1500 kilometers from Bombay and I still managed to do it. So if you are actually interested for it, you'll find your ways. It does not matter in this world which is connected by internet, whether you are living in IIT Bombay or any place else. We have another question by Dr. Saurabh. How is this model different from aneurysm alarms which have been there? So yeah, so aneurysm alarms works on the principle that once you bed wet, once the bed is already wet, so they have this sensors which sense the water or the moisture on the bed and then it rings an alarm. So it's basically after you bedwet. What I'm trying to make is something which can make an alarm before you bedwet. So before you urinate, there would be an alarm. Instead of after you urinate, you have an alarm. Is there any other engineering college apart from IIT Bombay which does this kind of innovation work? Yes, there are many. You have IIC Bangalore, you have IIT Madras, then you have one in Nagpur, GS Raisoni. So it just, there are hundred of other colleges. And honestly, right now, almost every other college is coming up with their this medical and engineering wing. Yeah, you have KIIT as well. You have IIM Bangalore. So you have n number of opportunities. You can just go for it. How do you start from? How do you gain the experience, and how do you come to know about all these platforms? How to approach them? So many questions. To be very honest, how do I start? Is just by having that will to start. If it is, if तुम्हारे अंदर में it's there that I want to start, that is the point. Like you will get your contacts, and the experiences which I have gained is like stepping from one stone to another. I did not know in my first year when I was first going for this hackathon that I would ultimately reach to this point where I'm actually guiding the medicos on a talk. So that is how it works. It's like stepping ladder one and then another. And knowing about these platforms, you will basically, once you again start connecting with people, you can use LinkedIn, you can use Google, you can use Facebook, and you'll get links of them. Any online source where we can learn about innovation, there are many. There are Coursera courses, there is School of International Biodesign, which hosts the 6 months of thing. There is Mice Labs, which have this proper training module. So yes, how can we contact you after this session? I'll leave my links, don't worry. Some of the core challenges in healthcare to tackle as we start off. Also, betting in many other programs require a medical degree and don't accept medical students. No, that is not true. BETIC and other programs do not require a medical degree. Even if you are a medical student, even if you are first year, second year, you just need to have that thing that, dude, I'm a medico. So that tomorrow if someone asks you, ki, boss, what is this thing? Then you can refer your books of medical books. And believe me, even a first year student can read Harrison and understand. Even a final year student can read some PG level book and understand. It's just that it is your interest. So even you can contact with the seniors, you can contact with doctors. So basically being a medico, you have that connect with the medical society, and that is where you can get the human resources from. Does Mice Lab support startups? Yes, it does support startup. I think we have Dr. Malpani, who's an angel investor, and ma'am will tell you more about it. I have a few ideas, but I don't know exactly which person to contact from these engineering colleges to start on the technological aspects on the idea. So Saurabh, if you are not sure about whom to contact, it's better you go for such incubators like Mice, BETIC, and contact them. And because these organizations, they have connects of medicos. You also have Dr. Jagdish Chaturvedi, and he has another app which he has where you can actually join in as a medico, and it has some other engineer friends as well. So like they can connect you through it. Yes, HIIT. Saurabh is right. How did you find your problem statements? I'll answer that question in the next few slides. Any more questions? I don't have any. Is it not important to figure out from before whether device will be sold? There are a lot of startups who have huge inventories now but cannot liquidate. So that is basically a part of design thinking process where you just cannot randomly make any device. That is where you need to understand the user needs. That is where you need to understand what is the demand of the society. What exactly, basically, you cannot just go and say ki I'll make a robot which will take the blood. Because just to take blood, we have lab technicians, we have interns, we have doctors. So you cannot just say that ki, I'll make a robot which can take the blood and can take 100 bloods together. So that will not serve the purpose. Rather, if you can maybe automate the whole process of blood collecting and maybe give results within a minute or two, that is where there is a demand, and that is where you can innovate. So there are startups which have failed, which have huge inventories, but have not been able to liquidate, have not been able to earn, maybe because they did not follow that process properly, they did not understand the user needs, or maybe because they got a bit unlucky during the whole process. Otherwise, if you know that X and Y thing needs to be innovated, there is a demand. Basically, it's like demand and supply. So if you know that, definitely your device is going to revolutionize. How about feasibility when it comes to innovation? Like at this level, how to know what are all feasible and what not? So this is not an answer this is not a question which you need to search the answer for. This is where the role of such incubator centers come into play. This is where angel investors come into play, who will tell that whether what you have made is at all feasible or not, whether they are ready to invest in your problem statement. And I think regarding this, ma'am would be better able to tell you more. Yes, this session will be recorded, and it is right now being recorded live, and it is being telecasted on YouTube. So yeah, I think that's all right now, all the questions, and maybe we can go ahead with the second part of the session.
Perfect. Let me just share up my screen.
That's great that people are asking questions, and I'm really enjoying this session. And I hope all of you are enjoying. And if I'm boring you, please bata do. I'm not the kind of person just जो तुम्हें bore करना चाहता है on a Saturday evening. Also, can I have a thumbs up so I know that you guys are there watching me, taking some interest, and I'm not just blabbering from that time. Okay, ma'am, next slide, please. Great. Awesome. Great.
All are like tip top alert. SI. He asked, yes, this is the response.
Yeah, I can basically keep on speaking, and that is sort of, I would say that's a plus point, because you are basically like a shameless fellow who is like, मेरे को ये करना है, मेरे को ये करना है, मेरे को help कर दो. And that is when even 10 people say a no and 1 people say a yes, and if that works out, then you'll be like, forget that 10 people who said a no, dude, I am going ahead with my idea. So
that's how we all should be, I guess.
Right, man. So now going ahead with this design thinking loop, this is an infinite loop. So this next set of 5 or 6 slides would tell you that if today, it does not matter if you're in a second year, third year, fourth year, post-intern, an industrialist, an inventor, anyone who you are right now, it does not even just stick to just medical innovation. Even if you have a ghar ka problem, and if you use this loop to solve that even ghar ka problem, your mother would be more than happy. Okay, so you can use this design thinking infinite loop, and this is again, as I say, not just limited to medical innovation. Come up with problem statements, find the problem solutions, and maybe end up becoming some startup unicorn heads. Next slide, please. So this design thinking workshop, this design thinking loop, how it works is, the first step is to empathize. Ma'am, it didn't get changed. If you could check once.
Just a second, there's a clip.
Okay,
There's a
yeah.
clip.
So the first step is to empathize. So what does it mean by empathizing? It's basically seeing the patients as a teacher. So the moment you start thinking about the problems as a patient, as a user, you start empathizing with it. Ma'am, can you click on the present button? It's just the small idea. Great. So you basically, what you need to do is you consolidate what you know and what you don't know. What I mean is, you might be in your third year. So you should have a basic understanding that by the end of third year, I know 10 subjects, I know a little bit of clinics, and I know what kind of patients come into my OPD, what kind of patients come into my clinic, what is the demand, what kind of treatment is being offered. So these are the things which you know, and what you don't know is maybe core intricacies of the medical knowledge. Then you connect with these users, you talk to them, you understand their problems. It might be anything, maybe something which they are facing day to day while they are coming to the OPD, while they are getting a treatment. Maybe they are a small problem like, doctor, I forget to take my pills every day at X and Y, Z time. For example, lithium. You need to take lithium tablets every day at a fixed time. So what if you are forgetting it? So why not you can come up with a small a dabba which has a small alarm which beeps every day at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. that, dude, you need to take your medicine. So that is like empathizing with the patient, learning from the user interface or user experience, observing, asking them questions, trying to analyze the situation, and just basically developing a connect. Next slide, please. The step 2 is basically to develop and ideate. What this basically means is, now you know the problems, you are trying to come up with solutions so that you can make a device which caters to their needs. Ma'am, it stopped sharing.
Yeah. I'm just resharing. You please continue.
Okay. Yeah. So the step 2 is basically developing. And how do you develop? You start defining. How do you define? What you do is you define a problem statement. What you do is, after knowing the user problems, you basically start jotting them down. You revisit any unknowns. ये मुझे नहीं पता था, अब मैं जानना चाहता हूँ. Maybe read another book, maybe talk to your seniors, maybe talk to a mentor. Do some research, do some PubMed article search, do some Google reviews, watch some projects on YouTube, and basically you start to tell a story. I met a person, he had this problem, then I did some research, I came up with a solution. So basically you start making up a story in your mind, a story which you can pitch in to an investor once you're ready with your product. Then you start generating a problem statement. For example, a problem statement can be early detection of breast tumors, or it can be knowing the boundaries of a dissection, or maybe to know whether a tissue is viable when you are doing a resection and anastomosis. And you start recording everything. At that moment of time, you might feel that this is not important. But next day, when you are trying to ideate, when you are trying to build a prototype, maybe that one point which you felt was not that important at that point of time, which was written in your records, it might come very useful. On step 3, the step 3 is to ideate. This is where you basically try to understand the user needs. You have understood the user needs. You have you have defined the problem. And now you start involving multifunctional teams. Ma'am, please change the slide. And you basically lay down the rules of the game. Like, this is my job profile. I, as a medico, would be contributing to this aspect of the problem. Maybe a second person who is an engineer would maybe come up with the AI solution. There is a designer who would come up with the, say, artificial making of this, basically a prototype on the design platforms. And then you have another person who is sort of maybe an industrialist, or who is a mentor, who can tell you that, okay, this prototype which you're going to sell, is there a user demand for it or not? Ma'am, should I screen share? Because it's not changing from your end.
I guess there's a delay in the network from my end. Hello?
Ma'am, no issues. In that case, I'll present.
Yeah. Is this possible for you to present?
Yeah, I'll do that. Just my video will be gone, but it's fine.
We can avoid this gap.
I'll do that. Great. I hope my screen is visible, ma'am.
Yes, present.
So what we do right now is, let's start brainstorming. All of you people right now in the YouTube live as well as in this meet, I want you all to come up with uses of a pen. So you see a pen on the screen. Can you come up with 100 uses of this pen? It can be anything. And believe me, do not kill your ideas. Don't think it's not possible. Yaar, pen se koi juice kaise pee sakta hai? It's very weird. Let them be weird and just text and tell us what are the things you feel are the uses of this pen. Pen, glucometer, screen not visible. Just a minute. Is the screen visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
Great. So can I have, yeah. So can I have all of you people type down what are the uses of a pen? It can be anything. Someone says a pain sensor, correct? You can use a pen to maybe, yeah, to poke someone. Reading a mind and automatically writing. It would be reading your mind and automatically writing, maybe, yeah, if you can come up. How can you possibly detect a melanoma? Anvesha, could you please tell us more? Great, a tracheostomy. So you can basically take the pen, poke someone just below the cricoid, and just do a tracheostomy. More uses, please. I want you to come up with as weird uses as possible. Pen ABG for pediatric population. Let's not go for a pen ABG. Let's just think right now about this pen. Someone on YouTube is saying it can be used to snort drugs. Great. Using a rubber band to make an arrow with the refill. Great. You can use a rubber band. We also used to play this pen shot with this pen, right? As a camera, okay. Pen fight, great. Ketan is right. We can use it a pen fight. Shivani says as a camera. How can we possibly use that a camera? Let's see. To see the motor senses of the patient. Again, something more similar to medico. I want you to go beyond this. Directing graphene nanotech induced medicines to direct to the required target site. Amazing, Ashwar. You are right. Like taking all your thinker camp and thinking as much as possible. Taking swabs, right? So you can use this as a swab stick for COVID. Use it as a clip. Yes, definitely. You can use the cap as a clip. You come up with more. Yeah, we can as a paperweight. Great. 100 chopsticks. Great. You can use 2 pens and a chopstick. Please don't do this in one of the Chinese restaurants, else you'll be kicked out. But yes, you can definitely go for it. A temperature sensor. Okay. A temperature sensor or a pressure sensor. How can you basically do that? A 3D pen. Okay. A 3D pen. But a pen is actually 3D, right? You can use as a hair roller. Great. Yeah, you can use the pen and maybe make a juda or something. Endoscopy when camera is connected to it. Awesome. Pen fundoscope. Great. Use it as a blood storage device. Okay, so tomorrow, instead of the vial, we can use this pen as a pen. A rifle as an endotracheal tube. Riffle as an endotracheal tube. That'll be too narrow, but yes, we can. We can. Like, believe me, when I say we can, everything is possible. You might think, yaar, abhi kaise ye possible ho sakta hai, but tomorrow, there is going to be a change when this is going to be possible. Anything else? Yeah, so basically what we are trying to do is, this is the first step of innovation, brainstorming. You have a problem statement, you have a possible solution in head, but you just don't stop there. It's basically like, forget what I have in my head. Let's sit with my team, 5, 6, 10 people, and start thinking, start brainstorming. For example, a simple problem like detecting a breast cancer early. It can be like, I can use a gloves, I can use an infrared manometer, I can use some, any damn idea which you get, just go for it. You can maybe use the sentinel limb node biopsy wale dyes, or maybe some AI driven technology, some cameras, some maybe some changes in the blood. And say, suppose you're thinking of CSF monitoring, which is done non-invasively. You know, it's very difficult right now to think of a solution. Many people are actually working on that problem. But right now, how we measure the pressure is by lumbar puncture. So can you think of a way where you can maybe remove that lumbar puncture part and do it non-invasively? This is what it means by brainstorming. So once you're done with the brainstorming part, what you do is you start prototyping. How do you prototype? You keep the user in mind that X and Y Z person is going to be my user. For example, if you're making a device for the patient who is supposedly a cardiac patient, then you have to keep that user in mind. What are the comorbidities that person has? How can I possibly use that device smoothly? What is the age group? So it's all basically keeping the user in mind.
Dr. Aayush,
Yes, ma'am.
can you just full screen
Sure.
the PPT? Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So you can plan the scope of testing. You take your actions fast or you'll fail fast. This is very, very important. It cannot be like, आज से 2 साल पहले I came up with a prototype and I'm still waiting कि किसी दिन कोई आएगा, फिर मेरा ये काम होगा. No. If you stop there, what is going to happen is someone else will come up with the solution, will file a patent, and then you're gone. Then no matter how much you do, it's gone. Like basically that person has patented the idea, and tomorrow even if you come up with a design, it will be like a patent law filing and everything that you don't want, right? You also use the right tools. You maybe right tools means using the correct artificial intelligence systems, using the correct books, using the correct hardware, the software, the design tools, and you also keep on recording the questions which you are going to do for testing. So this prototype is basically the first thing which you have made. which was the one which I had shown you in the last 3 hackathons. And now you test it. How do you test is you use that prototype, you revisit the areas where the user was there, you give that device or that prototype to that person, you ask them that do you relate to this product, and do you think this is feasible? You also need to research the logistics. Suppose tomorrow you are making a huge device. For example, someone in Medic made a portable ICU, but that is like a huge setup. So are you ready with your logistics? If you have come up with a solution, is the user ready to accept it? You consider all of this and you again go for a retesting. You again make some changes, you again for a retesting. This is the whole loop. And once you are done with it, you implement. Once you implement, you basically use the guidelines which are there, because you cannot just randomly make a medical device. Suppose you are using a valve, you cannot just make it, boss, this is a valve and I want to use it as a cardiac valve. You have to go with the whole prototyping guidelines which is there, which Dr. Sudarshan, Mr. Sudarshan sir would be better able to explain to us. And then you then launch the final product. And where are you going to launch it? Is there some incubation center? Is it going to be some hackathon? Or is it going to be some angel investor? And how are you going to take care of the whole thing of implementing, making the product, implementing, and basically even pitching your idea? Because they say that if you don't know how to pitch, no matter what you have done in the 3 years or 3 months or 3 days, if you cannot pitch your idea in 10 minutes, no one is going to give any bhav to you. They'll be like, ki, tere jaise bahut aaye, bahut jayenge. But if you want to make actual impact with your idea, that is where you need to basically concise this whole 3 years, 3 months or 3 days of journey into a 10 minutes of presentation. And what happens when you implement? This is what happens. These are some of the clippings from Shark Tank India, where they had come up with an invasive glucometer. They had come up with some non-invasive braille techniques. They had this renal project. They had the Keto India diet. And this whole sector is worth $2.2 billion. Right now, it's one of the most active workspaces in the country. Even just the online pharmacy is doing, like, covering a major chunk of it. You have upcoming unicorns. You have 4 of them already. And I'll just give a small example of Pristine Care, which is by Dr. Vaibhav Kapoor and Dr. Garima. They are surgeons. What they are doing is basically they are linking the hospitals and surgeons together. And even if you are sitting in, say, Calcutta, and if you want to operate a patient from Bombay, that person can approach you at this Pristine Care. So this is where what they are doing is they are combining the user demand of someone who is wanting to get a high-end surgery done, connecting them directly to their respective doctors, and then earning from that basically maybe the charge. And right now they are going to become a unicorn, Pristine Care. You also have Visit Health, you have Practo, you have 1mg, and so many other existing startups right now. So what you can do is you can look out for Medha, you can look out for Medic. These are the IT Bombay hackathons. You can go for the Mice Lab events. You can go for the conferences like SamsaCon, Pulse, and even the Confluence, which is there, Medathon, SateGS. They'll be organizing it in a month. You have international hackathons like MIT COVID Hack and some others, and just be on a lookout for them. And before I wrap up my session, this is what will help you out right now. A very easy way, that is Mice Labs, Medical Innovation, Creativity and Entrepreneurship Lab. And I would request ma'am to take over from here and tell our audience more about the Mice Labs.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much, Dr. Aayush. Your session was like really amazing and eye-opener, I would say, for each one sitting here. So I guess many of the students, like as Mice Lab is situated in JJ Hospital, many students came to me asking that, ma'am, how is that possible? How can we even do this thing? That's not our cup of tea and all that jazz. So that time I thought, these people need to know what is the reality and what is actually happening in the real world. And that's where we thought that why not arrange series of talk shows where speakers from various domains will come together, and they will actually enlighten and guide these young medicos to innovate. And Dr. Ayush was the perfect person to connect with you guys on this topic, because the first step of design thinking, it comes with empathizing, and that's what we did currently. So we empathized his journey, like exactly, if he can do, if that is possible, why can't you all can also do it, right? So yes, and where that's where MICE, that is Medical Innovation, Creativity and Entrepreneurship Lab, which is situated in JJ Hospital. So people who know MICE, they know what all we do. So basically, we support students to innovate more. We have group of engineers, we have designers, we have contact of various domains, entrepreneurs, and investors with us. So whatever healthcare domain projects are there, we encourage frugal innovation. And for that purpose, we keep sessions, quick sessions on right now what, as Dr. Ayush have mentioned, design thinking. So design thinking, we would be keeping coming few months, where you can actually understand the each step what he has just mentioned in more detailed version. We keep various competitions where students do rapid prototyping, and by the end of the day, even a single day competition, like at the start of the day, you will be given a problem statement, and by the end of the day, you would be having a solution. Like imagine all our healthcare problems getting solved like this so quickly. Wouldn't that be something which would be beneficial to us also and to our patients also, right? So that's what MICE does, and we actually bridge the gap of medicine and technology. So if you guys want to connect with us, you can just call on the given number, or you can drop us an email, and do follow us on social media, because we keep on updating various events. We will be having this talk show series continued each month, so on various topics definitely, which would help you guys to begin your innovation journey, and also how to exactly move about, right? So we have questions. So Dr. Ayush, now I would like to inform everyone that the panel is open for discussion and questions. So whoever have got any questions, please unmute yourself, or you can put it on the chat box, whatever is feasible for you guys. So we have 2 questions currently. One is how to patent the prototype. Do you know any patent? Okay, so the question, I guess, means is the patent on your name or on the company's name?
Right.
That's what the question.
So basically, it depends. If you are innovating with a team, the patent won't be on your name per se, but maybe a small company or a small organization. For example, if you're doing something at Medic, the patent would be filed under Medic, and you can have your name under it. But if you're doing it entirely on your own, the prototype would be under your name. And patenting and all comes with once you're done with the prototype. So don't need to worry about that right now. You first come up with a problem statement, find a solution, make a prototype, and then we can think about the patent. I really want everyone to ask as many questions as you can, because someone just texted me on WhatsApp saying that you can use the pen to stab someone. Maybe he was shy enough to text this on the chat. And someone even said that you can use this as a portable ECG pen recorder. So don't shy from talking and interacting with people. You need to come up with these ideas, and you need to tell people about it. I hope my info is visible to everyone. I've just zoomed it. So can you suggest some books related to medical innovation? You can start with Dr. Professor B. Ravi's book, Essence of Medical Innovation. It is a story of around 10 to 15 innovations, and this can be like one of the first books which you want to read. After that, you can connect with me and I can tell you more books.
Hello. Am
Please,
I audible?
whoever is there. Yeah, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Sir, I had a doubt that in case if we have an idea and like if we want to take it to a designer, so like who will like where to find designers, and
Ayush,
will
can
the
I
designer
answer
actually
this,
tell us
please?
whether that device?
Ma'am, please.
Yeah.
आपको ही
So
आंसर करना है मैम. You are going to answer this.
okay. So firstly, the person is asking this question is from GGMC and JJ Hospital. So Amay, you can just walk into my lab. I'll assist you with it. And for
Thank you
others,
so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
so that's the reason I said कि I would like to answer this because yeah,
Okay.
in
Okay,
house
ma'am.
है
Okay,
आपको
ma'am.
तो यार किधर भी नहीं जाना है आपको.
ओके
So
मैम मैम बट ऑल्सो कि हमें ये कौन बताएगा कि दैट आइडिया इज एक्चुअली अ वायबल आइडिया एंड लाइक दैट वो एक्चुअली पॉसिबल है, तो वो डिजाइनिंग वाला पार्ट.
So basically the process of design thinking, that's where Dr. Ayush was focusing, that we need to see now people will come with, to add more upon what Dr. Ayush said, I would like to just give a small extension to it. So ideas are multiple. Many people come with ideas कि यार मुझे इस पे काम करना है, मुझे उस पे काम करना है, मुझे इसका डिवाइस बनाना है. But is it really worth? First, worth से भी पहले, is it need? Need is where first the question comes. So finding the unmet clinical need is very important. Second, defining your problem statement. Like now, suppose you are, saying, I want to solve the big queue which is happening in JJ ka OPD line. So that is a problem, right? But is that the real problem? Yeah, why there is a long queue? What is the reason behind it, right? So you cannot just say कि मेरे को ये चीज है और इसको solve करनी है. There could be multiple reasons behind that problem which needs to be solved first, and eventually that main problem which you came up with could be solved automatically, right? So first, finding the unmet clinical need. Second, defining the problem statement. Third, doing your research. Very, very important that whatever you're saying or what concept you have in your mind, do research. You can find multiple things on internet, in books, with discussing with your mentors, seniors, and so on. Then you yourself will understand what is happening and what not, right? So that's how the entire process goes. You attend design thinking workshops whenever it would be conducted. You will get all the details in it. And for others also, if you have any query or if you have like yesterday on the group also, I just saw one person asking how do we connect to engineers or designers. You can contact us. We do have a few people who voluntarily work with us. They like to work on projects and various ideas. So if there's any need, you can let us know. We can connect you to the concerned person of any domain.
Ma'am, I would request Sudarshan sir, if he's hearing me right now, to please add a few words.
Yes, sure.
No, it's wonderful to see so many doctors coming over and attending this, because that shows a lot of interest in medical device innovation. I know that there is no lack of engineers, but there is a lack of doctors being interested in innovation is what is lacking in my view. So, and these are the exciting times for medical devices, and I'm very, very bullish on this field. So all the best to you, and we are always available to support you.
Sir, definitely the line which you said, that it is not the engineers who are less, it's the doctors who are less. Like there are so many engineers out there who are more than interested to come up with something, make their own startup. All they need is one good, interested medico to help them out with their ideas. And I think that is where platforms like these talks, Mice Labs, Betic, they play a role, because honestly, the problem right now is that when we enter our MBBS life, it's all about the 3 subjects of first year, then the 4 subjects of second year, then maybe postgraduate entrance coaching starts, Marrow, DAMS, Pep ladder. So it's the life of a medico, of an Indian medico, is so it's a small niche, and they do not want to explore beyond it. They are like, yaar, मैं क्यों करूँ? I'm already an MBBS doctor, और क्या चाहिए? But currently, the world is changing. There would be no place for just an MBBS doctor in maybe years from now. You either have to excel in your skills as a doctor, or you have to explore such fields where you can put in use your knowledge, because the amount of, I'll be very honest, none of the engineers in my team, either in Medha or Medic, knew anything about bladder control, about peripheral vascular diseases. Like I had to explain them what does a peripheral means, what does vascular means, what does a disease mean. Like first you need to explain them the problem statement. Okay, dude, this is what breast cancer is all about. This is what CSF is all about. This is what CSF is. You might feel यार CSF तो किसको नहीं पता, नहीं पता engineers को. They don't know about things. You need to tell them, and that basic little knowledge which you have, you don't need to know Harrison's, you don't need to know Bailey Love, you don't need to know XYZ book. All you need is some little basic knowledge about the human anatomy and basically an inquisitive mind where you can explain these to the fellow engineers.
Yeah, Dr. Aayush, I would like to add one more point here.
Yes, sir.
Is that, see, more and more you will see going forward that technology will play bigger and bigger role in medical services delivery. And MBBS doctors who have worked on these kind of projects, they will have far more comfort with technology than the doctors who have not worked on these kind of projects. And that comfort with technology itself will become your differentiator, because I see a lot of practitioners who do not go to the depth of understanding what a particular medical device really does and how does it do it. So it will help you not only in innovation, it will also help you in having that comfort with machines so that your clinical delivery will even become better.
Definitely, sir. And honestly, adding to that point, right now, just getting a decent rank in postgraduate exams meant making a decision. And every person whom I've asked, all of them say that the future is about interventions. And when you think about interventions, you think of devices. It can be interventions in terms of cardiology, it can be interventional radiology, it can be interventional surgeries. When the moment intervention comes into play, it means you are taking a back end as maybe a doctor who is more of a gamer. You're operating robots, you're operating laparoscopic equipments, you're operating diathermy probes, you're operating those small balloon embolectomy catheters, and so many other devices. And if you don't know about how a device works, what is the engineering behind these devices, I'm afraid you'll not be able to match up to the kind of healthcare ecosystem which possibly will be in 5 years from now. Could you please guide us on to how are we supposed to make CV, especially first years, as we don't have many achievements or research papers to add on to, as mostly every other conferences, they ask for CV to participate in events like Marathon. Definitely, Ashwath, I'll be very honest, a first year guy might not get opportunities right away, but this does not apply every time. If you get hold of even smaller conferences, which have lesser participants, where even if you can go and attend as a participant, no one will stop you. Making CV that comes with time. Maybe first you attended 2 conferences, third year you attended 5 conferences, second year attended 3 conferences. So that keeps on adding, and maybe in your third year, that is when you have the maximum time, you can actually shoot these CVs into right places and you can get into the core teams. So suppose we have a research idea, where exactly should we go and present it to? Also, can you guide how to make things financially feasible? So if you have a research idea, you can go and pitch those research ideas to places like Nice Labs, to Betic, where they can guide you how, and to be honest, they want you people to come up with research ideas, because they are waiting for medicos like you who can go, ki boss, this is the research idea we have, ma'am, this is the research idea we have, how do we go ahead with it? And thinking of how you can make it financially feasible is not something which you as a medico, as a doctor, should think about right now. First, think about just a solution, a problem, then a solution. And is it financially feasible? Is someone going to invest in you? Is some angel investor going to invest in you? Those will come with time. Any more questions, please? Because I think I'm done with all the questions on Gmeet now. If anyone wants to unmute themselves and talk, share some experiences, please go ahead. I think I'm all free. I have nothing to do now. So
Likewise.
Please, sharmao mat koi, please don't be shy. Please come up, please talk. You can share anything, any damn experience, any clinical exposure which you have had. maybe some ideas which you have. Maybe we can talk.
I think the main issue I would say currently like as you mentioned, yeah, they all are shy. So guys, थोड़ा सा बेशरम बनो, लोगों से बात करो, तब जाके you will make contacts, then you will understand what other people are doing. How can you guys team up and work? It is not only people of your college or your classmates sort of thing. There is a huge world outside also. So please
Hello.
speak for that. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead,
Yeah.
Satyam.
Hi. This is Dr. Ashutosh.
Ashutosh, please go ahead.
Yeah. Adding to one of our colleague has asked, sir, I'm in first year. Can I join? So, adding to that, you can join. Like Medha was one of them. I have also attended a lot of hackathons, and one of them where which came into Shark Tank also. That non-invasive glucometer.
Yes.
So that happened in Nite hackathon in Mangalore, where they had come, and later on they came onto Shark Tank. So yeah, you can join, you can add on your experiences, and I think I don't know how in hackathons you might not be for 3 days. You might just come with an idea with a prototype, but how to go ahead. That's where I think Medic and Mice will help you out uh, because in 3 days you might not know how to go about or your ideas in your first year. I don't know a lot of stuff. You come with an idea, you work there, you learn something, and later on you can join Betic Mice because and other fellowship programs are also there. I think because I've been there, I've seen, but I couldn't come with a lot of prototypes and I think I'll join and come with mice also. So yeah, there's a thank you Ayush and Mice to have this session. It's also helped me a lot also.
Thank you, Dr. Ashutosh. And believe me, the clarity which you have currently right now with innovations, I'm sure this will help you go a lot ahead. And I won't say that I am an innovator or something. Even I am in the same boat. Even I need to explore beyond my reaches. And even I have not come up with a breathtaking startup device or something. When I'm in that same state, but I'm just hopeful with places like Mice, Betic, uh, they'll help me out. And as you rightly said, hackathons will not directly help you to make a prototype into a product, but they'll help you to know how to come up with a prototype.
Correct.
That first knowing of how to define a problem statement, that will consume a full day. How to ideate, how to come up with a solution, that will make one day. Even something like how to pitch your idea, that utilizes some hours to know how exactly you pitch your idea. And when you're pitching to people like Dr. Malpani, they are very particular with the number of slides there should be there, the font size, the font colors, the kind of pictures which should be there. Like
way too much.
And you need, like, that is another aspect of this whole thing. And if you can learn all this in your MBBS days, nothing like it. Like once you're done with your MBBS and you want to explore these fields, it'll be very crystal clear in your head.
Agreed. And adding to your this, it's a journey. I understood that this is a journey. I also thought that in a 1 year I'll be coming with a product and it will be selling in the market. But I understood that it's not a 1 day or 1 month or 1 year thing. It's a journey where you develop your things even after making a good product. When you are selling it, it might come with some issues, and you again keep on doing it, adding on to it. So it's a journey. Thank you.
That's true. I would definitely, like to elaborate. He rightly said that, it's a journey. Many of the innovators lose their hope saying, it's been a year, it's been 2 years, I'm doing this thing, it's not working, it's not, no one is ready to take it further or give me funding and all that thing. But yes, you need a bit of patience, not a bit, I would say a lot of patience here. And don't get disheartened. If things don't work at the first place, then definitely there's a scope of improvement. So definitely work on that and come up with something really better than what you did for the first time. And as Dr. Ayush have mentioned about Dr. Malpani, So Dr. Malpane is the founder for MICE also. I know because I keep working very closely to him. So how particular he is at small things. And when you are pitching in front of him, definitely you need to know what you are saying. Okay, he is more apt than Google, I would say. I would be keeping one session specially the pitching wala, which would be given by Dr. Malpani himself, so that you guys will get a gist of it, like, okay, how we have to prepare for pitches and all that.
Ma'am, just adding to, if someone does not understand who an angel investor is, people like Dr. Malpani who is a doctor himself. They have established themselves in the medical front, and they have earned enough money right now to invest into projects and startups. So when you read that XNYZ startup has got $100 million from XNYZ company, those are the angel investors or the people who are investing money in your products. And adding to that thing, Dr. Bhavya has asked, what about non-profit ideas and public innovations? So Dr. Bhavya, there are two kinds of people, someone like Dr. Malpani, who is a private angel investor, and someone like Bairak or Atal Innovation Missions, which are government like agencies who are ready to invest in your prototypes. And they'll be more than happy if your idea is for public innovation. They'll be taking them up from you. You will get all the credits, you will get all the rights and everything, but they'll be used for a larger public, maybe some government schemes, some ideas, because these government schemes and ideas, they are actually brainchilds of some medicos, some doctors only, right? And then Dr. Sabrima has asked that, okay, she says that she has wrote an article on teledentistry and COVID outbreak in 2020 in our organization. Definitely writing articles, maybe connecting with such like-minded people will be like a stepping stone in this career. And I'll take the last question. Dr. Pratiksha has asked that with such an innovative mind, do you regret choosing, I would reframe it, medical over engineering? So I'll be very honest, Dr. Pratiksha, I do not regret at all, because the kind of edge which medical industry or this medical mindset provides me, when I am in a team of 5 people, they are dependent on me for my ideas, because until unless I don't tell them this is the human anatomy, this is the whole thing, how this problem works, this is how this problem came into existence, they'll not be able to ideate and come up with a solution. So being engineers is definitely a great thing, but when you are a medico, you have that higher end thing where you can actually think about an engineering. And I just add a small example. I have a friend in Maulana Azad Medical College whom I met in Stanford in the School of International Biodesign at AIMS Delhi. He was a final year medico then. He was extremely interested in coding, and you won't believe, after doing his internship, he has got into Stanford computer science program. He is a medico who would now be pursuing computer sciences, just with an idea that tomorrow he can use that artificial intelligence and add the medical knowledge he has, and maybe come up with some amazing innovation. Ma'am, I will end my talk here. And
hello, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask one thing.
Please go ahead, please.
Sir, means I don't have any prior experience in this innovation field. So, sir, means I don't have much confidence whether I should come to these conferences, these MICE labs, because it will be not economically feasible also from coming from another city to Bombay just for a one-day workshop. So, sir, I wanted to ask from where we should develop a base regarding these fields so that we can brainstorm good ideas only. Because sir, all these things look fascinating, that a unicorn, a shark, we represented in Shark Tank. So these all are superficial things, but the reality I think is different from this thing.
Ma'am, I would ask ma'am to add to this finances part, and how even if you are sitting at XYZ city, how MICE will help you to innovate sitting at your home.
Okay, so we have many students from various states of the country, and they are interested in medical innovation. So we do work with them remotely as well. So just imagine 2 years of COVID. what we couldn't walk into the lab or call students for hackathon, like one what Dr. Ayush have also mentioned during his presentation. We did not stop. Ideas and innovations don't stop. In fact, at that time, there's an opportunity where you can excel and bring many more things on the table, right? So with the same thing, if you are located outside Mumbai, not an issue. You can just get in touch with us. We have various projects. We have multiple events happening via online mode as well. And you can attend them and get knowledge for the same.
And Satyam, you were right that this unicorn and everything is all superficial. People don't know about the actual hard work which goes into them. And I'll be brutally honest that they might have started with just 5 rupees out of their pocket expense. Maybe someone has given in like 5 lakhs out of their pocket. But when you keep going and you don't give up, things eventually happen. So if at this moment of time you are like कि मेरे expenses मुझे allow नहीं करेंगे to attend something, then that would be like a full stop to your innovation career. Maybe you can figure it out something. As a medico, finances की problem तुम्हें कभी नहीं होगी. You can do some part-time writing for some website. You can start consultations when you are an intern. You can maybe go and visit some nursing centers and provide some of the like services, maybe some cannulations. You will get some amount, because if you are interested, money will never be a problem, and believe me on that. Even I thought कि मेरे सारे पैसे by mice, Betic, Ames, Delhi, up down, flight का खर्चा सुबह शाम, I spent in a lot of money, and God rewarded me by an iPad, which eventually I would have spent more money on it. So things happen when they're destined to happen. They happen. You have to live with a positive hope and just go all in this, and stop thinking कि क्या हो सकता है नहीं हो सकता, because the moment you start thinking क्या हो सकता है, that is like the end point. You have to be like कि होगा. You have to have that positive mindset when it comes to innovation. I think we can wrap up the session. And
before we leave, to Ashwath Pillai, I would like to say yes, we have few events lined up. Stay tuned to our channels. You will get the update. And yeah, before we leave, I just wanted a group picture. So I would request everyone, can you just showcase your faces? Like we both are seeing each other since last 1.5 hours. We want
again,
to see
you guys have to be a little besharam now, please.
Yeah,
Switch
exactly.
on your videos. Great. I really want to see your smiling faces, and I hope that I could make sense in this last 1 hour, 1.5 hour. I'm sure no one likes to, get bored by lectures and all. So I'm just hopeful, and I'm hoping that whatever I have said, whoever is listening to me right now, कुछ फायदा हुआ होगा, and you can connect to me directly on WhatsApp, and we can think more about how we can go about it. So any other, please, Ashutosh, Maria, Ajay, and other people, please switch on your videos. No one is going to judge you. Believe me, we are all medicos. So no one is going to judge you. We also have just, ma'am, we can have a group picture, I guess.
Yes, tech team. Okay, are we done, tech team?
Vikram, did you take a group picture?
Okay.
Yeah,
I
done.
guess. Okay. Lastly, I would want to thank GGMC Rice and Samsa for their support. I know I and Dr. Ayush are speaking since long, and you just know us. So behind the story and the supporters, what we have is the students body of GGMC Rice and Samsa. They have organized everything. They did collecting people. They posted everything. They are helping us with live streaming of this entire session. Post this session, you'll be having videos also where you can refer some of the parts which you might have missed. So thank you guys, and here we come to end of our first session. Be in touch. We'll be having more sessions with us. Bye-bye. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good day.
Thank you, people. Thank you, Dr. Ayush. Thank you, Dr.
Zenat.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for the. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for this session.
We can end the meeting, Vikram.